Mr. Speaker, what's happening with the appropriations bills is unprecedented. After passing 4 appropriations bills earlier this year, we're now considering the remaining 8 appropriations bills this week in 2 days. That means that we're debating the funding for roughly 2/3 of discretionary federal spending bills in just over 4 days. Has any member here really had the time to read all 1,305 pages of these 8 bills? And better yet, has anyone had time to read nearly all the 1,000 amendments and determine what the impact of each one would be? These are the bills that fund programs that impact the life of every American, every single day. But we're not giving them the serious consideration they deserve. And the minority has been virtually, literally, I would say, shut out of the process altogether. When the majority took control of Congress and the White House, they promised regular order. They've not only broken that promise, they've shattered it and stomped it. Speaker Ryan is the only speaker in the history of tracking statistics to never have had a truly open rule. An open rule would allow any member to offer an amendment that complies with the standing rules of the House and the Budget Act. Not a single one. A bad process, I believe, will lead to a bad product, and these bills are no exception. They're full of provisions that would do real harm to millions of Americans. Inside these bills, the Dodd-Frank financial reform law, passed in the wake of the biggest recession since the Great Depression, would be tattered. The biggest banks, still in control of the people who got us in trouble in the first place, would be allowed to run roughshod over the economy again, paving the way for another Great Recession or worse. Try as we could to find out what would be the substitute for Dodd-Frank to prevent them from doing that again, there is no answer. They would be able to do it. Under Dodd-Frank, which has not really held up the economy in any way, actually, listen to this. Under Dodd-Frank, we've had a record-setting streak of more than 80 consecutive months of private sector job growth. Mr. Speaker, this growth didn't come despite this law. It came because of it. There's also language here that would ramp up the majority's assault on women's health. Provisions that would zero out funding for Title X, the nation's only federal program devoted to family planning. And more than 4 million women depend on it for access to contraception. The bills would also eliminate funding for Planned Parenthood, which serves 2.5 million women and men every year. It is relied on not just for contraception, but for services like breast cancer screenings, wellness visits, and STI testing. The bills would be truly destructive if they ever became law. They don't appear to have the necessary votes to pass the Senate, since there are not 60 senators willing to vote for this legislation. And that would make one wonder, why are we even going through this charade? Because we have only 9 legislative days left in the month of September. And during those 9 days, we need to raise the debt ceiling to pay the bills we have already incurred, to fund the government for the following year, to reauthorize the Children's Health Insurance Program, the Perkins Loan Program, which many low-income students rely on for their college education, and very importantly, the Federal Aviation Administration. All of those expire on the 30th of September. If we're going to do all of this, we have to get back to the orderly and thoughtful process. Congress can't wait for a disaster to always be at its doorstep before acting.